everyone, it's Nina and I'm here today with Simon Says Stamp to share with you a fun baby themed card using products from Pretty Pink Posh. To start off with, I'm going to be using the Pretty Pink Posh and Simon Says Stamp Darling Friends stamp set. This was a collaboration stamp set that was created back in September 2015. It's a really cute set that has all sorts of balloons and fun animal images included in it. I'm going to be pairing it with the Holiday Pals stamp set, which is another stamp set from Pretty Pink Posh. I'm going to do my stamping in some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. This is a new dye ink from Simon Says Stamp, and I just love it because it's perfect for coloring with Copic markers. I'm using my Misty tool to do my stamping, and as you can see, it's perfect for doing stamping over top of images you've previously stamped. Like this one where I didn't stamp it completely, I just had to re-ink it, and I got a perfect placement the second time around. So I'm going to start my Copic coloring now. I've got some light greens here that I'm doing for some mint color tones. I'm going to start coloring in this balloon first. I'm adding some shading along the bottom and top of this balloon, and then also along the corners where all of the folds are meeting each other for each color stripe. This is going to give my balloon dimension and help give it a rounded feel. This stamp set from Pretty Pink Posh and Simon Says Stamp is really cute. I just love this hot air balloon, and it's perfect for a variety of different occasions. There's a lot of really nice sentiments that come with that stamp set and really helps you create some fun projects. I wanted to mention about the Holiday Pals stamp set that we're going to be using. This is technically a Christmas themed stamp set, but it's perfect for more than just holidays because it has images that can be used year round. All of the critters that are included in the stamp set have little accessories that you can stamp with them, and this one I've chosen to use the little bow to put on the bunny's ear because I thought she would look really cute with the bow. So I'm keep coloring here with my Copic markers. I'm adding in some shading. For the hair bow, I'm going to use some light pinks here, and I've got all the colors that I'm using listed on the side of the screen for easy reference in case you wanted to replicate any of these color combinations. Now for the bunny, I wanted to go with something that was non-gray because I wanted to have some color. So I'm using some light purples here. These are BVs, and I'm just using these to give my bunny some shading, making sure that I leave a lot of white space. This is a baby themed card, so I want all of the colors to be very light and pastel toned. Now I'm going to quickly shade in the basket, just using some light browns, and I'm just blending those together. Alright, so once we got everything colored, I'm going to take the coordinating dies from both the Darling Friends and the Holiday Pals stamp sets. I'm going to go ahead and tape these down using some washi tape. This is perfect for holding down your dies as you run them through your die cutting machine. I've put them into my Big Shot here, and I've got a magnetic platform down as well. I use the washi tape for when I'm using multiple images like this because it helps keep them from moving around too much, but the magnetic platform holds them down very nicely too. Now for my balloon, I wanted to be able to die cut this little piece out from in between the basket and the hot air balloon, and I wanted to be able to put my bunny inside it. Now the die does not cut this out, so I'm using a craft knife to go ahead and do that, and I'll go ahead and then slip my bunny inside there. You can see it's going to look really cute. I'm also going to do some coloring with these clouds from the Rainy Days stamp set. This is also from Pretty Pink Posh. I'm going to go ahead and do some shading using my Copic markers. These are some light grays. I'm doing a stippling or dot technique, and this is just going to give the balloon a little bit of texture. I also made sure that when I did this, I not only put the texture along the edges, but I also put some in the middle as well to help make it look a little bit more rounded and puffed, just like a cloud would be. Then to finish it off, I'm going to take my lightest gray marker, this is a C00, and I'm going to go over top of all of the coloring just to kind of fade it out and soften it, help it from being too harsh, and just give it a nice soft feel. To cut these out, I'm just going to go ahead and fussy cut them, but if you have the coordinating dies, go ahead and feel free to use those. Okay, so now we're going to do some watercoloring for our background. I've got some distress inks here. I've got Tumble Glass, Shaded Lilac, and Peacock Feathers. We're going to do watercoloring for this background. I'm putting down my color, and then I'm mixing in a lot of water with this Tumble Glass distress ink, and I'm just quickly dropping it and pushing it around onto my watercolor paper. This is some Strathmore watercolor paper. I really like adding a lot of water to my backgrounds because it gives me some hard and soft edges when you use lots of water. So I'm going to add in some more Shaded Lilac now, and I'm going to go ahead and water this down quite a bit because I want these colors to be fairly light and pastel toned. I'm using lots of water to make sure that they stay a light color. Finally, I'm going to use Peacock Feathers, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to water this down quite a bit, and then I'm going to drop in some of that color as well. I dried in between each layer of color because this helps to keep them from being too muddy and blended and helps have some definition in each color tone. Now I'm taking some plain water and I'm going to flick this on to my panel here. This is just going to create some water droplets. I let it sit for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then I went ahead and took a rag and dabbed off all of that water. And that created some nice water droplet effects, which I love doing on all my Distress ink backgrounds. Now I'm going to take that panel, I'm going to run this through my Big Shot machine with a Simon Says Stamp Stitched Rectangle die. This is the largest of the dies included in that set. I'm going to run that through. Next I'm going to take an 11 inch by 4 1/4 inch piece of cardstock. I'm going to score it at 5.5 inches. This is going to create an A2 sized card. This is some Nina Solar White cardstock, and that was a Martha Stewart scoring board that I used to go ahead and do that. So now I'm going to play around with the placement of where I'm going to put my images and how I'm going to lay out my card. I decided I wanted to put the panel on a jaunty angle, so I'm going to go ahead and take a ruler so that way I can create a nice straight edge for where I'm going to put my sentiment. Because this panel is a little skewed, it helps to create a line for where you're going to be putting your sentiment, something nice and straight, so that way you can go ahead and make sure that you don't have it crooked later on. I'm taking my EK Success powder tool to go ahead and prep the surface of this. I'm going to use some Versamark ink to go ahead and stamp my sentiment, which is from the Rainy Days stamp set. I'm going to go ahead and press that down. I'm using my Misty tool to go ahead and stamp this. Once I've stamped that down, I'm going to go ahead and take some silver embossing powder. This is from Ranger. I'm going to go ahead and heat set that. Next, I'm taking one of the coordinating sentiments that goes with the Showers of Blessings. I'm going to stamp this with some Versamark ink as well, but this time I'm going to heat emboss it with some white embossing powder. Having the two colors of embossed sentiments is really nice to add a little bit of variation to your stamping. So here I've started laying out my card. I added my watercolor panel onto my card using some fun foam underneath. I attached my hot air balloon onto that panel using some foam tape, and I've added the bunny inside the basket. Next I'm going to take the little hair bow and I'm going to take some liquid glue. This is some PPA matte adhesive. I'm going to use this to hold down the little bow for my bunny. And she just looks so cute. I just love how that bow adds a nice feminine touch to this card. Next I'm adding down my clouds. I'm using some regular adhesive to adhere these down. Because we've got a lot of dimension with the balloons and the panel, having those clouds laid down nice and flat helps keep it from being too bulky. So now I'm using some sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. These are the Sweet Pea mix and also some Share Handmade Kindness mix. These are the blue ones that I'm using. I've also got in some sparkling clear sequins and some purple plum sequins. To finish things off, I've used a little bit of Wink of Stella glitter on the stripes of each balloon. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some glossy accents on the eyes, the nose, and also the banner for this hot air balloon. So that's going to do it. I hope you've enjoyed. Be sure to stop over at the Simon Says Stamp blog where you can get more information on this card, including the products used. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.